Not long ago, I was talking to a mentor of mine and kind of dealing with a lot of different things, some different hardships in life, and even some of my own sinfulness. And he gave me a new perspective on everything that I was going through. He said, and it was something I had to think about. He said, "Are you willing to suffer these things for Jesus?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, I mean, I'm doing everything for Jesus, right?" But he said, "No, are you willing to say that whenever you suffer a temptation, whenever you suffer someone being unkind, or when you feel that you're not doing good enough, are you willing to say, 'Lord, I'm willing to take this on for you, for your sake, to suffer this for you, to say, I'm going to say no to myself in this temptation for your sake, Lord Jesus.'" And I thought his logic was pretty good because he said, we're more willing to put our lives on the line for another person. We're willing to stick our neck out for someone else. Parents are willing to put themselves in harm's way so to protect the life of their children. And so when we think of it that way, it becomes a little bit easier to say, I can do that. I can even endure something that's difficult, even something that is suffering for me, but for the sake of another person, for the sake of Jesus. This was something that all the saints knew. They went through great trials, and especially those who were martyrs really went to the end in this way. Today we celebrate the feast of the North American martyrs. That's Isaac Jogues, John de Brebeuf, and other French Jesuit missionaries. They were the ones who come and evangelize the native people here in the Americas. And they had a lot of, we would say, success there, but also a lot of rejection. There was a lot of people who did not want to hear their message and who wanted them to leave. And it got so bad that at one point they did have to go back to France. But they decided to return, knowing that they'd probably be rejected, knowing that they would probably suffer, and knowing that they would probably be killed because of the message of Christ. But they came back. And they were so dedicated to Jesus. You should read their writings and just see how much they longed to give everything to him, even to suffer martyrdom for his sake. Not for the sake of just having some sort of glorious death, but only for the sake of suffering for Jesus. I think that so often in our lives we can say we're dedicated to Jesus. This is true for me. That's why I say it. We can say you're dedicated to Jesus, but when it comes down to it, when it means that I might have to suffer the opinion of someone else, when I might have to look bad in front of someone, or I might have to actually do something that's hard in my life, I can shy away from that. I'll shy away from, I don't need to do that quite that much for Jesus. But this is exactly where Jesus wants us to be. This is how we grow in our faith, being more and more willing to step out for his sake, to say, I'm going to suffer this for you, Jesus. I'm going to lay my life down on the line for you, Jesus. People might call Christians fanatics sometimes, and we kind of shy away from that term, and I think we kind of need more fanatics, people who are just sold out for Jesus. We need to be that way if we're ever going to speak to a world that is just lost in sin. So my friends, let's ask the Lord today for the grace to suffer when we need to suffer well for him, not for the sake of nothing, but only for the sake of his name, because he suffered for us, and he has paid the price for our eternal salvation.